feel free to come off mute during our session, because obviously, you know, I'm not going to be sitting at my computer the whole time, so I'm not going to necessarily see the chat window pop up. So if you need to ask a question, feel free to come off of the mute and ask those questions. What I am doing right now is I am just opening up Smart Notebook, and I am going to be sharing that on my smartboard with you. And I am also going to be screen sharing the smartboard so that you can see everything kind of a little bigger. There we go. Make it easier for you to be able to see everything that I'm doing. So I have a Mac, and it is slightly different than what you would do on a PC, but it's similar enough that you shouldn't have any real issues. So again, I am going to be screen sharing where you can see the board and obviously see my camera. For those of you that were not in my first session, I probably should have introduced myself first to start. So hello, my name is Cori Frede. I am from Visual Sound, and we are a partner with Smart. So I am here today as a Smart certified trainer to kind of show you the ins and outs. The first session we did was on the hardware, and the session now is going to be on the software. All right. So we are specifically looking at Smart Notebook. Smart Notebook is downloaded on your computers. It is a very easy software to use. And the only thing I want to point out to you is the next session is going to be the cloud. And the cloud is going to be different. There are similarities, but obviously differences. Think of it, I like to describe it as the difference between using Microsoft Word on your computer and using Office 365 in the cloud. Obviously, both are Microsoft, both are Word, but they have different functionalities. You lose some of the editing capabilities and you gain some collaborative nature type of stuff. And that's similar with Smart. So Smart Notebook is your hardware. It's downloaded on your computer. Smart Lumio is the cloud, and that is where you are going to have that collaborative. That's where you're going to have a lot of great stuff. Now, the slide deck that I just shared in the chat is the master slide deck for today. I'm not going to actually be going through the slides as we talk because I'm going to be demonstrating live on the board, but I want to share that slide deck with you because it has screen shares and it has some, like, you know, the different things that you might need to ask or might want to know about Smart Notebook, or where do I find this, or how do I do that? What icon am I looking? So that slide deck that I shared is going to have the master slides for you. All right, so I'm going to change my camera view now. So this way you should be seeing my smartboard nice and big on your screen, and you're going to be seeing me kind of smaller in the corner. That is by design so that you can see everything. And I will be getting up to the board. I am going to turn my computer so that hopefully I will be able to see if something comes up in the chat. But like I said, don't hesitate to come off of mute if you have questions, because I might not see the chat on the computer screen while I'm up at the board. So let me move the camera so it's angled better. There we go. All right. So when you're in Smart Notebook, like I said, I'm on a Mac and I know you have PCs, so there are going to be slight differences. But what we're going to look at is the overall software on your computer. We're going to look at Smart Notebook, and if we have time, we're also going to look at Smart Ink. Smart Ink is the drivers that are installed. So when you installed Smart Notebook, the drivers automatically install. You might notice them, you might not. That's fine. But that's going to be just like this little hand over here. That's your that's your Smart Ink. And we'll look at that if we have time after we look at Notebook. So I'm just going to push it off back to the side and hit close so that it's not interrupting our screen. As you can see, I can control everything on this screen with my hand because the board is basically a giant tablet. What's really nice about Smart Notebook is about smart panels in general. If you are used to the old ones with the projectors, you're going to notice a couple things right away. First of all, you never have to calibrate this board. If I pick up a pen and I start writing, it writes. I don't have to calibrate. I'm not going to put my pen here and see the line writing over here. And that's because that issue was actually the sensors from the projector to the board. Anytime the projector moved like a millimeter, by the time that millimeter up at the projector proportionate to the size to the distance, it would be a lot larger than a millimeter. There is no calibration here because the board, everything is all in one. There is no projector anymore. So when you are in Smart Notebook, you can do a couple things. If you have PowerPoints, you can export your PowerPoint as JPEGs or PDFs, and then you would be able to come up here to File and import as a PDF. So if you want to take slides that you already have, you can import them to Notebook. It does work. So just note, because you're importing it as a PDF, you're going to lose animation, you're going to lose motion, all of that. But you can pull in stuff you already have rather than rather than have to restart. Some really nice things in Smart Notebook that I want to show you is up at the toolbar. So the toolbar has 3 sections. The first section is your generic tools. Your undo button, your redo button, your add a page, your subtract a page, save your file. So the generic presentation file, you see that in all programs. Then you're going to see this one here. And I don't know if you can really see it, but when I just highlighted it, you'll notice it put a box over my entire screen, or over the entire slide. That button there is called a curtain. And what you can do with that curtain is, you see these little dots? I can drag it. So when I'm designing my slide, let's say I did my math problems for the do now, I can put this box and leave it here so that the kids only see the math problem. And then we can be like, all right, so what did you guys get as the answer? All right, let's see if you got it right. Ready? Whoop. You can drag it a little bit, let them see the answer to question 1. Drag it a little bit, let them see the answer to question 2. So, and then if you want to just shut it off completely, you hit the red X. But you can put that curtain and you can maneuver it to only cover a certain section of the slide or cover the entire slide. Again, with that curtain, another feature that's kind of silly, but some teachers really love it. If you double click on it, it changes color. So you can, instead of gray, you can have a yellow slide or a white slide or a pink, whatever. I know I said pink, I meant purple. But you can change the color just by tapping on it. Also up here in the top, there are some tools that I currently have, but they are custom, and I'm going to show you how to customize them as well. But I have here the camera. And when I click on the camera, it opens up the capture tool. And you're going to see in the capture tool, there's 4 options here. You have full screen, you have the rectangle selector, full screen, a window, or a funny shape. And let's say I'm going to click the funny shape one. My screen grays out, but watch this. I could actually highlight exactly what I want. And it took a picture of that letter G. And it lets me save it to a location, or it says do something else. When I click do something else, I could send it to the current page of my notebook. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And you'll see that it dragged that. But here's what's really cool. I'm going to really quickly put a shape. I would have helped if I filled the shape color. So let me try that again. So I'm going to put a shape, and then I'm going to send the shape to the back. Because what I want you to see is it didn't really trace the G itself, because I still have the white background. But notice, compared to when you do a screenshot of a rectangle, you were able to get closer in. So if you had something that you really wanted to screenshot perfectly, let's say you had a picture of one of your students playing baseball and you wanted to just have him and not like the field and stuff, if you click on that shape and you very carefully like trace, you know, your student, you'd be able to take a screenshot of just the student and get rid of the whole background. So that's what that last one is with the little funky shape. That allows you to create your own shape of the screenshot. All right. Now, the other cool thing about that capture is it actually, if I minimize notebook right now, you'll notice the capture did not go away. And that's because once you open the capture tool, it will work on anything. So like I could take a screenshot of my desktop and send it to my notebook. I could take a screenshot of a website. I can take whatever I need to take a screenshot of, I can. So that is not, the screenshot tool is not specifically for Smart Notebook, but it is in Smart Notebook. So that's why I wanted to just show you that real quick. So you can see there's my screenshot of the Zoom call that was on my screen. I'm going to just do one more screenshot to show you that menu again, because right now I have it sent to the current page in Smart Notebook, but if I click do something else, I can save it to my desktop or choose a specific spot on my computer. So you can save that screenshot anywhere. The screenshot does not have to go to a notebook. And that's a really good thing too, because like I said, if you can trace like a picture that you found on a website, get rid of the background, lots of different things you might want to do. All right, so I'm gonna put a new blank page, close out of the capture tool, and show you some other tools. So let's say that you are a math teacher, and I use math as the example just because it's the easiest example for me right now to think about. But like, let's say I'm doing like a math problem, and you know, I solve it. I'm not gonna finish it, but so obviously like there's my math problem. And now I want my students to try a sample, but I want them to see the example. I added that blank page underneath, and now if I click this one right here that has the picture of 2, you'll see I have 2 pages at once. Now here's the even better thing. If I highlight this slide and hit the pin, that slide is going to stay. And now when I go through my slides, I could add, like I'm going to write on this one, I'm going to just write the number 3. I'm going to add another blank slide, and I'm going to write the number 4, just so you can see that on my side panel, I have those additional slides, but that slide number 2 with the sample problem is staying on the screen. So this way, like I said, you can have your notes up on the side and have the kids come up to try on the other side. So you have that ability to put 2 slides up at once and keep one on the screen at all times. So that's a really good tool to know. So again, that's this little one here. It toggles between a picture of 2 pages and a picture of 1 page. And then the push pin is how you specify what slides you want to remain frozen to the screen. Any questions so far about just the overall like software, not even like the writing and the creating? We're just talking about notebook like intricacies right now. So any questions at this point? All right, I don't see anything in the chat, and it doesn't sound like anyone's coming off of mute. So the next thing we're going to look at, I have over here some other bookmarks, and again, I'm going to show you how to favorite and customize your toolbar in a moment. This toolbar here, this yellow rectangle, that is response. Oh, is someone coming off mute? I thought I heard something. So responses is how you can actually create an assessment where you as the teacher, when the kids finish it, you will get an Excel spreadsheet with their answers color-coded. Right answers green, wrong answers red. It only color codes the multiple choice and the true false. So don't think you're going to get answers for, it's not going to grade your essays, but it would grade all the multiple choice type of stuff. So you would create your questions. Now here's the thing I like to just point out. You'll notice at the bottom you do have a next, but you want to hit add question to make new questions. I know a lot of teachers, they'll type the first question and then they hit next and they wonder why they can't put more questions. That's why. Next means you're done entering all your questions and you're ready to finish creating the assessment. So add your questions. You can switch between types. So you can have multiple answers for one question. You could have multiple choice for another question. So you can do whatever you need. Once your test is done, you would hit the next button. And I guess because I don't actually have anything typed in, it's not letting me hit next, but it would then be done. What would happen is, I'm going to just close out of it. When you do this with your students, there would be a code on the board for the students to actually access on their devices the response, and they would take the assessment. On the board, it'll give you like a little pie chart that shows you the percentage of completed answers. It doesn't tell you if they get it right or wrong on the board. It just tells you like, all right, 70% of the class finished the quiz, 80%, whatever. It gives you a pie chart of when the class is done. If you are doing a time test, you put the 5-minute timer up on the board and you just let it go. Well, how do I get a timer, you might be asking? Over here on the left, you're going to click on the picture. And I know it's weird because it's a picture, but that's what you click on. And what you would do is where it says type search terms, you're going to type timer. The reason why I say you're going to type it is because if you try to search through all, you're never going to find it. I can't find it. So right on the bottom, it says interactive and multimedia. And then I can just click on the timer, insert it into my notebook, set the time. So like I want, it would help, by the way, you notice I'm writing on it right now. First, you have to hit the arrow, and now your hand is the mouse. So I'm going to set this for 5 seconds. I hit play, it counts down the 5 seconds, and then it'll go off. It's currently muted just because we're on the Zoom call, but you would be able to set that timer, and you can see if I click on the gear, I can change the sound. I can make it a circle if I prefer a round timer. I can switch it between the countdown or a count up, so I can do a stopwatch also. Lots of different things that you can set on that timer. And again, you can give them the quiz, and then as soon as you want the quiz to end, you hit finish on the screen, and they won't be able to answer questions after that. It'll just stop them in their tracks. I'm going to hit new slide, and I'm actually going to quickly type a quiz, like just type 1 or 2 questions, just so you can see what that really looks like. So I'm going to go multiple choice. I'm going to type my questions. I'm going to give you really hard questions right now. So we're going to do, what color is Big Bird? Red, yellow, green, or blue? Now, obviously right now it thinks that red is the correct answer. So I have to come in and mark the correct answer so it knows what to grade. Then I'm going to go add a question. Those people who were in my first session might have noticed I searched for Elmo. It's because the Sesame Street characters are just the easiest thing to make quick demos of. I can come up with, because I constantly use them, I can come up with questions fast with Sesame Street. All right, so I'm going to hit next. And then here I can put a title or instructions, and then I click finish. I'm going to stand back up. I don't need to be, I only got up to type. Obviously, I don't need to really type. But you're going to see here, it says, ready to start. I hit start. My students are actually going to go to this hellosmart.com. If you were in my first session, I showed you HelloSmart before. If you come to my third session, the third session I'm doing is 100% on the cloud. It is going to be completely HelloSmart. But you'll notice that the cloud is kind of interwoven throughout everything. Because if you want to give your kids this assessment, they go in through the cloud the same way. So they would go to that HelloSmart. I'm going to just X out of that. And this is what I was talking about when I see the questions answered. It just lets you know how the class is doing percentage-wise. Then, oh, somebody's answering a question for me. Thank you. All right, so then I'm going to hit the end. So if you remember, I mentioned you set the timer. All right, guys, time's up. I hit end. Would you like to end and review students? End and review. All right, so I look and I'm seeing what color is Big Bird. One student, it tells me right here, it has the number 1, and it says one student answered B. I go to question 2. One student answered A. Down here at the bottom is that key that I want to make sure you notice. So I'm going to just open my pen real quick because I want you to see right there. That's the key right there. Export results. I could open it. It'll save it as an Excel spreadsheet. And like I said, it will give you all the data on that assessment that your students did. So response is a really great tool for assessment because the students can do it on their own devices and you get that nice spreadsheet with their work. Okay. We do have a lot of other activities and fun stuff to show you. Responses is just the one that I always like to make sure I hit. This little guy here, it looks like an X with a dot, so it kind of looks like a stick figure. That is a shortcut to the Smart Exchange. The Smart Exchange is a website, and it's kind of the easiest way to describe it is to say it is teachers pay teachers without money exchanging hands. So you'll notice like right here it says share a resource. You could upload a notebook that you created that you want to share to the world, or you can come in here and you can search. So, okay, I am looking for, let's see, I am looking for a 9th grade lesson on English language arts, and I'm going to search. And it's going to just pull up all of, and I highlighted it by accident with my finger when I was using the mouse. And you can see it brings up all of these ideas, all of these lessons. And you can look at it and be like, oh, we're doing Shakespeare this week. So I'm going to click on Shakespeare, and it gives me the option, save to Lumio or download. I am going to tell you this right now, my personal belief, as of right now, always hit download. Lumio is currently a one-way street. You can upload to the cloud, but you can't download from the cloud. So once it's in Lumio, it's limited on what you can edit with it. So by downloading it, it's going to save it to your computer, and you could open it in Notebook. And then if you decide you want to put it to the cloud, you can put it in the cloud. But if you put it in the cloud, you can't pull it down to Notebook. I hope that makes sense the way I just described that, but it's like I said, it's a one-way street. You will notice, like I mentioned before, it's kind of like teachers pay teachers. Anyone can put something on here, so just realize not everything is going to be amazing. If you look here, you'll see this one says like shared by Smart Technologies. Those were shared by the people that work at Smart, so they've kind of been vetted a little more than the one from Joe Schmo at the elementary school, wherever. So if it says Smart Technologies, those are just more, like I said, they've been vetted a little bit more. They're done by the people who work for Smart. All right. So we're going to come back in here, and the next thing I'm going to show you before I show you the rest of the tools is how to do that customization, because most of the customization that you're going to do is going to kind of end up being right over here anyway. So on the side of your screen, you're going to have a gear. And when you click on that gear, it opens up all the potential shortcuts, and you can then drag. So like, let's say you don't see assessments right now. I can click on it, and I can drag it up there. And as soon as you see that plus sign, you just release, and it would be there. So let me drag one that I don't currently have. Nope, I have Clear Ink. I pretty much have all of them. So let me, I'm going to just click clone, and you'll see I'm going to put clone right there, and it adds it to my toolbar. I mentioned there's 3 sections. You have your traditional actions, the add-ons. These are going to be more of like math type of things, and I'm going to show you the equation writer because I love the equation writer. And then you have your tools, which is going to be your pens, your shapes, and all of that. So again, you can customize anything on that toolbar that you want. We're kind of working our way left to right today just to show you all of those functionalities. All right, I got to close out of that menu. It's driving me nuts that it's full screen. All right, so I mentioned that customization, so you can play around with your toolbar and make it exactly how you want. Something I didn't mention though yet, your boards are mounted on the wall, and for the most part, it's going to be you as an adult, but you might have some kids, or some schools mount the boards really high and you end up like jumping to touch the top. So if you can't reach the toolbar, right under that gear, there's that little double arrow, and this is really good if you teach like kindergarten or first grade, but you have that double arrow, and if you click on it, you're going to notice that my pen tools all just shifted to the bottom of the screen. And if I click that arrow again, they shift back to the top. So if you need to put it down so kids can reach it, you can put it to the bottom, you can put it to the top. Same thing with the side. You'll notice that I tend to stand on this side of the board when I present. So I can come over here and there's a double arrow, and I can pull that double arrow over. So now I could actually reach my slides, and I can maneuver around a lot easier. So those double arrows are just to kind of customize the display a little bit more for you. Okay, I'm going to go again to another blank slide. I mentioned the equation writer, so I want to show you that now. I don't know why they use the puzzle piece, but they use a puzzle piece, and then if you click on Sigma with a pen, I always prefer the pen, and I'll show you why in a moment. But I take the pen, and now I just pick up my stylus, and I could write and you can see it's not perfect, but I can even come in here now and like add my parentheses, and it fixes it. But it can take your handwriting and it can make it into the equation. And once it's typed the way you like, you hit the plus sign, you hit the check arrow, and now you have your equation there. If I was to select the Sigma with the arrow, it's instead opening a text box. And this is why I like the handwriting one better, because now you got to go and you got to be like, all right, I want the fraction. And on the top of the fraction, oh wait, I need to go walk over to my computer to use the keyboard. So it's not as intuitive for the touchscreen to use the arrow, but that is an option as well. These options over here, these lines with the lines, that's the alignment tool. So let's say I'm going to just take my pen again for a moment, and I draw a line, and I draw another line, and I draw another line. And what happens, I want all of those lines to kind of be perfectly centered. If I highlight all three, now I can come over here and I can say, I want them to be aligned to the left. And you'll notice they all are now straight to the left. I can align them to the right. They're now all straight to the right. Align them to the top. Notice they all just went on top of each other because now they're all starting at the same starting point on top. So that is the alignment tools. And I don't have the center one up there, so I can come over to my gear and go to my add-ons, and I can add center. I don't know why I didn't have it there, but now you can see center is an option as well. All right, so those are the alignment tools, and they come in really handy. But that's everything that's kind of under the add. You have a concept mapping tool, but if you're drawing, you're probably just going to draw concept maps. You're not going to really, add. You can, but you probably won't. All right. We're going to look at all the pens, and then we're going to just look at the last thing we're going to look at, because it'll take the most time, is creating activities and interactive games with your students. So when you come over to the toolbar here, you have this one that has 3 pens. It looks like a pen, a calligraphy pen, and a crayon. When you click on that, it's going to bring this extra menu over to the side. The pen itself has a pull-down menu, and you're going to see all those options. Now, some of those pens are self-explanatory, some are not. I am going to go through them. So the pen is just the straight pen. The calligraphy is going to let you kind of see, like, as I write, if I put more pressure, it gets thicker. So it gives you more of a natural feel. You have your crayon, highlighter. I'm going to skip the text pen for a moment. Creative pen. Notice that you have like all these fancy looking pens. So a lot of different things. Paintbrush. And then I'll show you the other two. So the text pen, magic pen, and shape recognition, I'm going to show you in a moment. But now that we have all of these lines here on the screen, how do you erase? Well, obviously you do have an eraser. But the nice thing about Smart is you can also use your fist. And in Smart Notebook, now this does not work on the Android and it does not work on Lumio. It only works in Notebook. But I can draw a big circle and then punch in the middle, and it erases everything in the middle of the circle. And when I say punch, I don't mean punch the board, just kind of a love tap, but it'll erase everything in the middle of that circle. Your full hand can be used also. So a lot of different ways to erase. Now, I didn't show you the fact that you have two pens and stuff yet. We'll get to that in a moment. I want to show you the text pen, the magic pen, and the shape recognition. So we're going to start with the text pen. And what's really nice about the text pen is you write something, and it's going to recognize that handwriting, and it's going to change it to text. All right. But let me ask you something. How many times do you write something and then realize you forgot a letter? Well, some people spell Jonathan Jon, but some people spell it John. Okay. I'm going to ask for some audience participation right now. Do I have any English teachers in the audience? Or anyone who's just, editing specialist, like, what do you, if you need to show a student in editing how to add a letter, what do you normally write on their essay?
You put the caret on top.
You put a caret on top. Thank you. So I was trying to figure out how much wait time to give because I know you have to unmute microphones and stuff. All right. So if I put a caret, it opens up a text box and I can write the letter H. I hit check, and notice it added the H to the name Jonathan. Now, what if Jonathan likes to go by John? I could just put a line through and it'll erase the extra letters. So you have a lot of editing functionality on the text pen. That's really cool. And you could actually, if you copy and pasted an essay on, you can use the text pen editing on pre-typed stuff as well. It's not only on the text to handwriting to text. Now, if I wanted to change the color of Jonathan, if I select the blue pen, I just go back and forth and it'll change the words letters, or the letters colors. So again, a lot of fun, a lot of things you can do with that text pen. I don't believe I put it in the slide deck for you, but I will get you the master list of all the text pen editing. Like I said, you have the caret, you have the cross out. There's a bunch of different little tricks to edit the text, and I will, like I said, get you that text pen. All right, the next one is the magic pen. Now, most teachers only know the magic pen for the most obvious feature of the magic pen. And that is to trick your students into seeing if they're paying attention. Because when you write something on the board with the magic pen and you walk away and you keep talking to your students, it is going to disappear. So now if I said to my audience, can anyone tell me my favorite number? Only the people who are paying attention to the screen would have seen it because it disappears in about 10 seconds. I've seen a lot of teachers do that with the bonus answer to tomorrow's quiz. And only the kids that were paying attention will know the bonus question. But the invisible ink is not the only function of the magic pen, and that's the reason I always like to demonstrate it. So there's two other functions. The first is if you draw a circle, it blacks out the rest of the screen and it highlights what you circled. I can stretch the circle by clicking on the blue and dragging. I can move the circle around by touching on the black and moving around. And I can turn the whole screen on by Xing. So that is the spotlight. The next thing that the magic pen does, and I'm going to warn you that sometimes it does not work on my first try, and that is to draw a rectangle. And today it worked on the first try. But if your rectangle is not perfect, it does not work. So just be aware that the circle is more forgiving than the rectangle. But you'll notice this time it again kind of grayed out the rest, but not as much. And it also magnified. And I have a magnifying glass here that I can zoom in all the way to the pixels. So circle is a spotlight and rectangle is a magnifier. And again, that's the magic pen. So it's the pen up here that has the stars. The shape recognition is pretty much like the handwriting to text, only this time with shapes. And you'll notice it's going to kind of, if you mess up your shape, it's going to make the line straighter, but it isn't going to make it into it. Like it's not going to intuitively know that that was a rectangle or a triangle, because you notice I went over and it took the line over. So it does recognize the shapes, but it's going to recognize it how you drew it. All right. So I'm going to go back to a pen right now and put a fresh screen, because now I want to show you the 3 pen. I just gave away a little secret. I said 3 pens. I'm going to show you the 2 pens and how it works. So whatever you touch the menu with is what is going to write. So I am going to write with the red pen right now and it's green. The black pen is writing in black. If I take the red pen and I select red, now my red pen is red, my black pen is still black, and you can see that I can use both at the same time. Now I mentioned the 3 pens because your hand is a 3rd pen. So if I take my finger and I select purple, my finger's now writing in purple, and my 2 pens are still writing in 2. So if I take all 3 at the same time, I have 3 colors going. So that is a really cool thing that you can have 3 things, because not only do you have 3 pens, they don't even have to all be pens. So if I'm doing a lesson with my students, I'm going to take my black pen and I'm going to make it black. I'm going to take my red pen and I'm going to make it a highlighter. And now I could be doing this lesson and I could be doing like, there's my math problem, and then I'm going to highlight the number 3. I'm going to keep going, highlight something. So you can be able to do that. And that's really good too. When you import like a PDF of like an essay, you could write notes, highlight vocabulary words, right? So you can demonstrate using the 2 pens, and you're not going to have to come, all right, first I need a pen, now I need the highlighter, but because you can have the 2 pens doing different functions. Because my hand is currently that purple pen, and apparently it thinks my hand's black. I thought I made my hand purple, but I guess it thinks it's black. To go back to being the mouse, I have to click on the arrow. So now that I clicked on the arrow, you can see I have the ability to drag and move and do whatever I need to. So Smart Notebook has a lot of great functionality at the board. One thing I will tell you is on the PC and the Mac, there's one slight difference. If I go full screen on my Mac, I lose the entire toolbar from the top. If you go full screen on the PC, that toolbar is still up there. So I don't know why it doesn't like the Mac as much as it likes the PCs, but I just had to make my screen, I just had to drag the window and make it full screen. I couldn't just click maximize because I lose my toolbars when I do that. All right, so we didn't look at the shapes, but you have your shapes as well. So you have all your shapes, you have your fill, and you'll see when you do the color, you have fill color and line color. You have more shapes if you click the down arrow. Type of lines, you can do a solid line, dotted line. So basically all the things that you kind of know from other programs, text box, raise, arrows, fill, all of that stuff is up here. So that's all like the handwriting, the editing. The next thing I'm going to show you is creating games. So do you have any questions about the pens or anything I've shown so far before we go into the interactive activities that you might want to do with students? Okay. So on your screen, you're going to see this little, kind of looks like a little alien type of monster. And when you click on it, it opens up your activities. And this is how easy it is to create games on Smart Notebook. So I am going to create a match 'em up. And I'm going to go over to my computer to type because it's just going to be easier to type this than do anything else. And this is something you probably would, you would obviously do this in advance. You wouldn't be doing it on the fly, but I want you to see how easy this is to do. So I'm going to just do the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm so creative with my demonstrations. So after I type in my matching, so I have my numbers and my words, you'll notice you have an image. So you can pull in pictures if you prefer pictures to words. Especially like if you're a art teacher or maybe you're geography, maybe you can pull in like a picture of the Eiffel Tower and put Eiffel Tower. You can pull in a picture of the Empire State Building, put Empire State. So you can do pictures with words, you can do pictures with pictures, whatever you want. Then you have check answers. You can do it instantly or when prompted. I like to do instantly when I'm calling kids up to the board. And then I hit next. Now it lets me pick my background. I see a bunch of options here. I love the dragon. I think that one's the most fun, so I'm going to pick the dragon. And you'll see now I have that game. I can turn the sound on. Because I am currently presenting on Zoom, the sound isn't going to work right now, but you can turn the sound on or mute it. And then what you're going to do is you call the kids up to the board, and they can drag the shield, and they can drag the flame. And you'll see that when they get the answer right, the knight pulls up the shield and protects himself. If he gets it wrong, the knight gets crispy critter. And then the answers fly back so they can try it again. All of the games are similar in the sense of how do you make them. You pick the game you want, so you click, I'm going to put another new slide. You click on the little monster, alien, whatever that is, and you select what game you want to do. And it's the same thing. It's just fill it in, fill in the blank, hit next, finish. Depending on how much you want your kids coming up to the board, my favorite game for having kids come up to the board to compete is the Speedway race car. So if I come down here, it's called Speed Up. And I am going to type some sample questions real quick. Like I said, I'm not going to make them difficult. I'm not even being creative at this point. All right, so I have 2 questions. I hit next. It lets me check that I made sure the correct answer is correct. And if I want to put a time limit, I can put a time limit on the questions. I click finish. And now when Speed Up opens, I hit start. And this is why I love Speed Up. You can have 4 kids come up to the board right now. I would definitely, if I'm doing Speed Up, I would go full screen, even because I don't need the pens. You do not need the pens for Speed Up. This one would be completely touching. But you could have 4 kids up here at once. And when you click the number 4, it gives each kid their own little character. They pick who they want to be their race car driver. And then you see it's giving them the time. It's a little difficult to demo this as one person, but you'll see that each one now has their letter choices, their A, B, C, D, and their car has fuel. So like I just gave fuel to the purple one and you saw the little flame come up. The first question pops and the kids are going to race to answer the question. And notice because I answered it, it stops my fuel from running out. It stops the fuel from running out. So the faster you answer, the more fuel you have. But notice that the guys who got it wrong lose all their fuel anyway. So the faster they answer the questions, the faster their race car driver is going to drive. And that's why I like Speed Up the best. I just think it's the most fun, interactive-wise for competitions up at the board. And that one, the music works. All right. So again, you got to just kind of play around with all of the games because they're all going to be different. Now, something that I always like to just point out, notice that the music does work on this one. So I wanted to show you what would happen if I accidentally create a second game on the same slide. trying to find a game that I don't need to like really type. There we go. All right, so I have a second game. Here's what's happening. You now have the music from both games going at once. And if I mute it, oh, that time it worked. Sometimes you'll still hear the other game. And the reason is because they're actually right on top of each other on the same slide. So you can see when I dragged it down, I have my game 1 and I have my game 2. But because they're on the same slide, you can sometimes end up getting the music from both of them, which is never a good thing. So if you're going to put multiple slides with games, you want to get in the habit of just always hitting the plus sign and creating the new game on the next slide. All right. So when you have your presentation and you're ready, you're going to hit File and you're going to hit Save As, save it to your computer, all of that stuff. Now, another option you're going to see is Share. And when you click on Share, what's going to happen is you could actually upload the copy of your file to Lumio. Now, remember what I mentioned before, when you upload to Lumio, it's a one-way street. So if I upload it and I edit it in the cloud, and then I can't re-download it. So once you send it to the cloud, it is in the cloud. It is a good feature though, because if you were in my first session where I was talking about the board, you saw that all my files from the cloud open on the board without a computer. If I upload it to the cloud, I could share it out to my students. I can give them a link and they could access the file for review on their own. So there are benefits to the cloud. It's just, like I said, a one-way street. Once you upload it, you can't re-download it. So at this point, I want to pause and see if there's any questions. We have about 10 minutes left. There are some more advanced features of Notebook that I can show you since we have 10 more minutes, but I want to get to the Q&A first. I don't see any questions. I don't see anyone coming off of mute. Okay. All right, so I'll show you some of those more advanced features just because we have 10 minutes. Oh, someone just wrote in the text, show me how to open the notebook from the home screen as if I just started my computer for the day. All right, excellent question. The struggle with that is my computer is going to look different than yours. So what I'm going to do really quick is I am going to open Smart's website so you can see a picture of what it looks like. All right. So if you see this icon right here, it kind of, on your computer, it's going to look a little smaller, but it will be a blue box with a pen, and then it has like these little dashes so that it kind of looks like a spiral notebook. That is the icon for the app. If you do not see that app on your desktop, you would have to go into the Windows Start menu. And if you just open the Start menu and type the word Start, it'll reduce it to only Smart Apps. And that's how you would be able to open it. When you open it, it will open to the blank notebook that looks like this page here. If you have a pre-made notebook saved to your computer, you hit File, Open File, and select your notebook. So that is how you would be able to open the file if you had one pre-saved. But yes, that again, that icon, oh, and you can see it, there it is on my computer. But on the PC, it would look a little different. Any other questions before I stand up and show you some more little tricks with the smart softwares? Okay. So we're going to go back to the view of the board. Again, it's slightly different on the Mac than the PC. So on my computer, my clock is on the top. If you have a PC, your clock is in the bottom. But you're always going to find near the clock this little blue box with a white, it kind of looks like a disc in a box or an eyeball, or I don't know, but it's like a little white circle in a blue box. If you have it on, if you're on a PC and you don't see that blue box right away, you probably have it like in the hidden. So you'll, on the PC, you see like a little arrow down here. You click the arrow and it opens more icons. But that little blue box has a ton of your smart tools. I could use that blue box to open up a fresh notebook. I'm going to actually close out a notebook. I'm not going to save all that mess that we did today. But I can go here. I have my screen capture. So if you remember when I showed you how to take the pictures, I can get to that from that blue menu. I can get to a screen shade. And it says like, what screen do you want? Because I have two computers. I have two screens right now. I just grayed out my laptop screen instead of the smartboard screen, which is a mess because I don't know which way my mouse is going. You see my mouse on this? There's my mouse. There it is. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So you can gray out the screen. Spotlight. We had kind of showed you that as well with the Magic Pen, but that would be the spotlight. And then you have here show Smart Touch and hide Smart Touch. So I click hide and you'll notice that little hand went away. If I click show, that little hand is going to come back. I can drag that hand anywhere, and that is my hand. That is legitimately my hand. If I pick up a pen, you're going to see that a second one opened up for the pen. Those are my shortcut tools. If I click on the hand, I can turn my hand into a pen, and it's telling you that I can't write on the desktop screen right now. And that's fine. You're not going to be able to write on every program, but if I open up Google and I take the pen, now I could write on the website. I can underline. I can change the color. If I want to take a picture of what I just wrote, I click on my rectangle tool here. I drag, and then it says save the location. I'm going to erase that. Then if I want my hand to go back to being the arrow, I just click the arrow. Some other really cool little tricks in here is that toolbox. My favorite tool, because you notice when I was demoing for you, I had to keep going back to my laptop to type stuff. If I click on my hand and I click on the toolbox, I'm going to select this one with the letter A. And I am going to write here a word. So I am going to do a search for school. I click the check mark. It says, where do you want to type school? It just took a handwriting and it typed it into the Google search. So you can do handwriting to text in order to open up websites without having to go back to the computer. Now, are you going to do that to do like an entire essay? No, but for like a single quick Google search, it's really easy and really fast. Go back to the arrow for my hand. If I pick up the stylus, I can do the same thing. I can change colors. All of that. I do have the same tool options for the pen. So if you don't want to touch the board and you want to only use the styluses, you do have that functionality and the ability to do that. So again, the tools are the show smart tools and the hide smart tools. Also in the tools, you're going to see smart settings. That's going to open up a settings menu. Or it's going to give me an error report, so we're going to just hit ignore. The orient. If you had the old projectors, you probably had to do that all the time. With the new board, it's still built into the software, but you never have to do it. So that is when your screen goes gray and you have to hit all the little plus signs. You don't have to do that anymore. I'm going to just escape out of it. The board will function because there, again, there's no calibration. Check for updates. you want to make sure you're running the latest version of the software. It just opened on my computer screen instead of, so if you click the updates, it checks if everything is updated. But again, that's just all there in that smart menu for you. All right, so we have about 4 minutes left. I don't want to get into anything else right now because it'll just possibly overwhelm you at this point, because I feel like somebody DM'd me and said they don't have any questions, but they'll likely come up with some as they start trying all these features. And that's to be expected, because right now, you know, you guys are at home, or most of you I saw on the camera, you're at home. So when you're not following along and trying it as I'm doing it, you're going to go home and you're going to be like, oh, that's so cool. And then you're going to get to the actual computer and you're going to be like, wait, how do I do this again? I totally understand that. And I know that new software is always scary. There are videos on YouTube if you search for them, but they're kind of hard to find good ones. We are recording this session, so you will get a copy of it that you will be able to go back and review it. And then if you do have questions that come up, don't hesitate to reach out to me later on. You could either email me or you can tweet me. Even when I'm in the office, I'm always sitting on my Twitter account in the background. So I hate to say that I'm addicted to social media, but I am addicted to social media. So anytime you need something, just reach out to me. I need to find the official hashtags for SMART. I think it's hashtag SmartPLN. So I believe that is the official hashtag on Twitter, but I'm not 100% positive. But if you tweet them, they will answer. If you tweet me, I will answer. You have my email as well, if you're more comfortable with email. But thank you all for joining. I know I have one last session today, which is completely on the cloud. So if you're staying around for the third session, it is the same Zoom call that we're currently in. But if you are going to a different session, it was a pleasure, and see you soon.